Turn on my little light over here. Yay, suntan.
Welcome to the Zoom world of horrornews.net.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
So
Oh, yeah.
thank you both for taking the time to talk to me today. And I love Dwellers. I kind of have a bit of a fascination with found footage films, and there's a lot of reasons. I'm not going to ramble on, but how did the two of you kind of meet, and how did this project manifest for both of you?
I'll let Drew take this one.
Okay. David and I met about 5-6 years ago. I was playing in a band called Bang Tango, and we played a festival called Rocklahoma. And David and I kind of ran into each other backstage, and just kind of hit it off. And then I started doing some intern work for his label and everything. And then as things kind of progressed, we just started a collaborative relationship over time, over certain ideas and that we both had, and we just kind of built upon. And and at one point, many years ago, I had this idea for like a found footage remake of the movie Chud, and it was with the guy that wrote the original actually, and so we were both kind of on the same page. He was like, "All right, Drew, we write the treatment, and then let's see what we could do." But it turned out he only owned the musical rights to Chud, so that tells you what kind of deals that they're doing with films back in the 80s. Yeah, and ironically, he's actually working on a musical for Chud with Daniel Stern from the original. So that should be interesting. And but I just kind of held on to the idea and kind of just took out all the Chud references, and really, like you've seen the movie, it's not too much like Chud to where it's like obviously like a Chud like
No.
remake or anything. It just pretty much shares the same narrative where there's homeless people going missing and then everything and everything else. And so I brought the idea to David, and I was like, okay, you got the Ellefson coffee, you got the record label, and you got your hands in all these great different businesses that you have a part of the Ellefson empire. And I was like, what do you think about maybe perhaps expanding upon into Ellefson films? And he really took to the idea, and I told him the idea behind Dwellers, and he really got behind it. And we ended up shooting it and ended up doing it for literally a $0 budget, because the way I kind of planned everything out, and it just needed the tunnel location, which I was fortunate to find. And then and we shot it in 2019, and over the course of probably collectively maybe like 4 days, and then here it is, and now it's all done.
I just like the fact that it was super cheap when they brought it to me. It's funny when you mentioned the found footage genre, and of course, the Blair Witch thing is probably the one that comes to mind the most, because it probably had it kind of first to market wins. You know what I mean? The kind of the first one, and that got probably the first kind of big look and big accolades and everything. And so as I've been working with Drew now over these, over the last, I don't know, 18 months or so, putting the film together, obviously there's a little acting bit part in the beginning, toward the beginning of the film, and sort of sets the story for the rest of the journey that Drew and the gang go on. But it's, then as, putting the film out, and now, with distribution and stuff, it's interesting, through the record label, through EMP Label Group and Combat Records that I have, you realize, like, I was like, wow, like we actually have all this distribution for both digital and physical product. And, these horror conventions are calling for us to be there and to premiere the film and show the film. And I've appeared at a lot of those conventions, just as a, rock star guy in the past, because a lot of the imagery of heavy metal and horror, of course, go hand in hand. But it's great. It's fun this year to be bringing something to the party, like bring a film and have something to contribute to, to that community. They got hit obviously pretty hard last year with the pandemic. So it's fun to walk in, not with our hand out, but handing in something to the, to give. And some of these are virtual. We just did Mad Monster a couple weeks ago in North Carolina, and that was in person. And so, the conventions are trying to kind of figure this whole thing out now, the same as the concert business has. So, it's a world that works well with where Drew and I came from in rock and roll, and now coming over into, horror films. And like you said, the found footage, it's been fun for me because I'm not as familiar with it. So, I find whether it's, the coffee company or the book company and the things that Drew was talking about, you what you don't know, you quickly have to learn. So it's been a fun process with the Ellefson Films venture, and having Drew as a partner on this has just really been terrific.
Now, with the pandemic and with everything that kind of happened, and I miss concerts and I miss conventions, because the horror conventions and my horror friends
Mhm.
have always kind of been some of the greatest people that I've ever met. And for a long time, it was sort of always kind of a little bit weird when you say, "Oh, I'm a horror fan," and right away it's, "Oh my God, you're a serial killer," or, let me get holy word and throw it at you. But now it kind of feels a little bit more accepted. We're not shoved in the corner. We're kind of like, "Oh, they're nice people."
Well, Siri
So
still has to learn, because every time I type horror, me and Drew will be texting and it types horror, like WHORE. And I'm like, all right, Siri needs to get hip with the technology here, because we
Yeah.
talk about horror movie and stuff. And you send it, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that just sent. And you're like, all right, what I meant to say was we're going to the horror convention,
Not a horror convention.
And well, it's funny that you say that, because some of the first appearances that I did were Comic Cons, and
uh,
and of course there's a comic book tie-in. Megadeth had some comic books back in 1997 with an album that we put out
yes.
called Cryptic Writings, and now we've just announced a DC Comics venture that we're doing as well. And DC Comics was ironically kind of more my thing growing up, was kind of Superman and Aquaman. Those are just the things that I grew up with. But obviously the Marvel franchise is incredible, and the Comic-Con stuff generally tends to have more Marvel, Agents of Shield, Star Wars, that kind of stuff. A bit more family friendly, if you will. I liken it to like Kiss Alive and Destroyer was still dark and sort of forbidden, but Misty, now the family could come and they had lunch boxes and it was sort of family friendly and safe. And so to me, that's kind of between, the Comic-Con stuff, widens it a little bit, but the horror stuff it's same, like you were just saying with your friends that are into that. It's the same way, I think, with the mess. And I think that's why people are so, gravitated with Dwellers, and, with Ellefson Films, and we're doing these things because we've got it pretty focused in right to our rock and roll and heavy metal fan base as well.
One of the scenes in the film where Detective Jenkins is having his conversation, he's very sort of nonchalant, almost as if, "Oh, this happens and it doesn't really matter." That really sort of hit, because in real life, like, I'll share one thing, for example, like, I was almost kidnapped by a man dressed like a cop. My mom was held at gunpoint. She argued with him. A whole bunch of stuff happened. Um, Other cops came by. He never turned around. He just stayed facing me, and he went like this and sort of waved the cop to go by. And that scene was sort of really powerful, because it was almost like, yeah, we know about it, but are we going to do anything about it? It happens. I thought that was a really powerful scene of just alone in the movie.
Oh wow, yeah, it's just, yeah, it's kind of, and it speaks upon that whole thing for sure. Just like kind of, because the whole idea behind the movie is that there's this big problem going on in this particular city with the homeless going missing, and the press isn't taking it seriously. The nobody's reporting on it. The local authorities are just kind of just turning a blind eye to it. When we interview Jenkins, it for sure just showcases that to a T, almost like he's almost got like a politician kind of vibe to it, like he's already had his spiel ready, just like kind of just every single possible you know, angle from the whole thing he has covered up. You're like, well, they're John Doe's, this, all that. And it just has an explanation for everything. And so, and for the viewer, it's like you could go either way. You could be like, yeah, there's nothing going on down there, or you could like yourself, like you said, kind of been through something like that, to where there's a situation and just everybody's just kind of just turning a blind eye and is moving along, be like, there's nothing going on here, and then you kind of catch on to that whole aspect of the film, where it's like something really is going on, but something's being covered up, and by the time you find out by the end, it's you kind of have all the answers in place.
Funny, I was binge watching Psych this
Oh, I
last
love
year,
Psych.
right? I
That's
missed
a
it when
good
it was
one.
on TV. My kids were watching it, so I started binge watching. It's like the same thing, right? The two guys, the psych dude, and they've got whoever the sergeant is. He's always dismissing everything they bring up, and it's kind of the Scooby Doo ending, and I would have got away with it. A word for those meddling kids, It's same kind of thing. But
and then
Go
with the interrogator too, as those scenes unfold throughout the movie as well, it's kind of he's sort of building his case against Doug. I don't want to spoil too much, but that's kind of the whole thing too. He's getting Doug to admit to all these things that kind of come around and bite him in the ass by the end of it.
Was it challenging for both of you sort of shooting this movie? Because I look at found footage movies and it always seems like there's somebody holding a camera and then there's somebody behind here. And then I know you said you were in the tunnels. What was that like, and how did you kind of prepare everybody?
To be honest with you, it was lightly scripted, and I kind of sent that out to everybody who was gonna be in the tunnel and everything, and we just went down there and just went for it big time. And my biggest thing with like found footage movie is like a lot of the time they don't really have a good reason as to why the camera's still on and all this terrible stuff is going on. It's like you shut the camera off and you run. But in this case, I wanted to make sure there's a good reason for that, being the camera is the only light that they have down there, and so it's it gives it a purpose for still recording and being on, and and my character kind of becomes obsessed with it at some point, because it's like all the pressure from Ellefson's character onto me, it kind of just unfolds throughout, and it's like it gets amplified, and so it's like I need everything to be shot because I'm about to be taken to court and all that and everything, so kind of just has like layers to it. And I'm so glad it came across that way with the people who've been viewing it and all that too, because after editing the whole thing, it's just kind of like it stopped making sense to me, but I'm so glad it makes sense to everybody else. But and it was I think we spent like with James and Doug, it was only one day in the tunnel we shot all those scenes, and yeah, it was a long day too, but we got through it, and a lot of it you could just see that we're just all just miserable and just tired and sweaty, and we got bags under our eyes, and it worked for the movie too, in a way, and we ended up covered in mud throughout too. It was weird because it was really dry. It was in the summer of 2019, really dry, but there's this wet mud all over the place, and we were just covered in it. And then when we couldn't see the sun go down, but the sun went down, and we started hearing the squeaking sound, and it turned the camera up, and the place was just filled with bats. So it turned out that it wasn't mud that we were covered with. It was actually bad shit.
Bat droppings.
Yeah, the guano.
And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
irony, the irony that we just got a nomination for best makeup.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So
Little
we
did
should
they know.
yeah,
It wasn't Maybelline.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the bats should get a nomination for that too. They go along with the makeup because
Hey,
they provided.
You're creative. I like it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Blood is blood, but bad shit. Come on, that's
Yeah.
that's next level.
Bad shit crazy.
David, did you have to do anything to prepare to play your role in this film? And
My role was pretty, it was kind of actuary, because it literally was the last day of a tour. It was in Springfield, Illinois, and Drew was driving from Indianapolis to me, and then of course he's got to go now deal with this thing over in Ohio. And it was so we shot the footage. It was literally the last day of the tour, because we've been talking about doing it, and we had talked about doing it for a few stops on the tour, and it never worked, and so we had to get it on that last day. which was kind of cool because it was truthful. It was like, look, this tour is over. We're going to sound check, which we were. So didn't require a whole lot of acting on that part of it. And it was easy to get mad at Drew just the way he walked in. And it was, obviously we're best friends. So it was funny to just kind of like go into a character and, hate on your bro while we did it. But as we've known each other over the years, and I've known some of the other things that Drew's been involved in, and even his memoir, the title of it, Dark, Depressing, and Hilarious.
Yeah.
He's always got this self-deprecating humor around him, which made it easy to, again, it was sort of lightly scripted to the effect of, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I can, so we kind of knew it, but there were no lines. None of it was like written out. We didn't have to memorize anything. We just winged it off the cuff. Like being pissed off at your buddy. It's like, dude, what the hell? Where is this? Where's this footage? And so it was fun to do. And, so that actually probably could legitimately be found footage on any given day on tour.
and we actually shot an alternate version of that too recently as well.
Yeah, we did. Yep. We've got got a couple takes. So we can do the director's cut, or we can kind of flip back and forth and pick whichever one we want.
Oh yeah, that'll probably be for the Blu-ray. I'm thinking for their official release. We'll have, because it's it actually turned out even better than what's actually in the movie, to be honest with you. And it kind of amplifies everything a little bit more, and it's great.
Well, it's cool because as we're rolling it out, as we're sending the teaser and the trailer, and we did the premiere over at Mad Monster, it does give you a chance to make final tweaks. It's sort of like, I remember one time with Megadeth, we flew everybody down. We had a fan club meeting, and there were people from Japan, like all around the world. They came to Nashville to hear the record, and we played it for them. And I don't know that it was even done yet. It might have been mixed. Some of it might have been, but it's still kind of a work in progress. So it's, to sort of let somebody into the coven, if you will, into the sort of the lair, to hear something, a work in progress. And I think that's what's fun with this is, after we premiered at Mad Monster, we realized, there's a little technical thing we got to do with some mastering and leveling on it yet. You know what I mean? So that it's kind of fun in these early stages. It's like taking your demo or your little indie record around to people and playing it and realizing, okay, now we can tweak some things and fix it up, before we put it out. So, but it's nice because we've got October 12th will be the release date now, a street date for it. So, which plays well for Halloween and everything around that. And it gives us time to tighten a few little scenes up and some other stuff that we might tweak on it a little bit.
And you guys are the first ones. We're revealing that too as well. That October 12th is going to be the street date for Dwellers.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, are you going to actually do some commentary, the two of you, for the Blu-ray and maybe reveal a little bit more?
Well, we were talking about where to do it. I mean, initially we talked about maybe doing it here in Phoenix in a couple of weeks, but we've actually got another little plan going that we've actually got a concept for another film in motion right now, actually. So, and it's not in America; it's actually outside the country. So, and we're that just fell together literally in about a 2-hour phone conversation. We just started riffing ideas and it's kind of like when a song hits you, and it falls out, there it is. And it's just, that's it. It doesn't require too much overthinking. And then, Drew knows how to kind of tighten it up and screenplay the thing so that it, falls into place. But, so we're thinking about, maybe in April or something, getting together to, on location maybe, and doing the Blu-ray stuff. That's one of those things where it's better to be in the room because you can kind of riff off each other and,
Mystery Science Theater.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, in fact, that's probably what we should do, is to have the two of us with our heads behind us as silhouettes watching the film, and we can critique it. Like Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, exactly.
These guys are cool.
We could do it like that too, where it cuts between us on like a couch and then back to the movie and back to us.
Exactly. I like it. See, if this is what happens, we get on the phone and we just write shit just like this. It's exactly how this stuff happens.
Are you going to do anything else with Dwellers? Are you going to are you working on another movie? Is it going to be similar, or can't you reveal anything yet?
Oh yeah, the next movie it definitely came together super quick, like he was saying, and I think we're aiming at Costa Rica to
Oh, wow.
to kind of shoot it, and the idea is really, really, really cool. I'll leave it up to David if he wants to reveal anything about it, but it's gonna be awesome. And as for Dwellers, between now and October, we still waiting to hear back on a lot more film festivals and all that. We got Horror Hound is gonna be selected it to be part of their virtual film festival weekend, and I think it's being shown the evening of March 20th at midnight. It's like their Midnight Madness movie, and so that's gonna be a lot of fun. I think we're gonna do a Q&A afterwards, perhaps, and everything. But yeah, as for the next film, yeah, I'll leave it up to David if he wants to reveal anything about it. But it's a really cool idea, though.
Yeah, it's, as all these things, they kind of bring a lot of the elements together. And of course, Costa Rica is a wonderful coffee place. So, there's good stuff we can bring in there. But yeah, we'll probably not reveal too much, but but there's a lot left in Dwellers. I mean, again, we've been talking about it last year. We essentially launched the campaign at Mad Monster. A couple of awards came in that week, one from Mad Monster for best horror film. From Screenwriting Festival, they bestowed an honor upon us. And so, for the next several months, there's some work to do behind the scenes to, set up the release and everything. But also there's conventions coming up. There's more cons. There's one in Chattanooga. That's the end of end of April, that is, I believe, right?
Yeah, there's Days of the Dead Chicago, I believe,
Mhm.
and then Metrotham Con. Yeah, it's hard to pronounce. So
Yeah.
I saw it's right, but it's in
I thought it
Chattanooga.
looked like meth. I'm like,
Yes.
what are we going to a meth convention for? Yeah.
Meth Con. What, Drew? What'd you get us? What'd you rope us into?
True zombies. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Bath Salt Con.
Yeah.
But there's the Chattanooga Con, and then I believe Days of the Dead Vegas as well,
Mhm.
which will be announced really soon. And then the Dead Convention in October, for sure, that one as well. And we're still working on details and some between all those as well. All contingent on touring.
Very
Yeah, we've got a tour, Megadeth tour coming up this summer. And somebody just told me they just messaged me and said they're buying VIP packages and tickets. And so it'd be great to be out playing concerts again. Wouldn't that be a fun thing to do if we remember how to do it? It seems it's been a year since we were on stage. I mean, literally just a little over a year. We rewrapped in February of 2020. So it'll be great to be out playing again. So, hopefully that happens. And, in the meantime, while I'm out melting some faces on stage, Drew will be cranking away on Dwellers and a few other things we got cooking. We got this book, Rockstar Hitman. We got another one of those in the pipeline that we're looking to pop out here by the fall. So there's a lot to do, with all this stuff. It's fun to be, creating all this new stuff and having stuff in the pipeline. So it's we've got some music, a little music endeavor together as well. So there's more than enough to keep us busy through the summer.
Yeah, and the music endeavor ties into Rockstar Hitman, which ties into Dwellers a little bit too. It's called Lucid. It's David, myself, Vin Dombrowski, the singer of the band Sponge, and Mike Heller from the band Fear Factory. And it's a really cool 9-track album that kind of goes along with the book and the movie and all that.
As I was getting educated on the whole, found footage thing, I asked Drew, I said, can't we just use that music as the soundtrack? And he goes, well, because it's found footage, technically there is no soundtrack. Because, Megadeth, we've done a lot of soundtrack stuff over the years, for, Sony and, just different Beavis and Butthead, various things, so it's fun when you get asked to. But, it's funny, you put all this time and effort into recording a song, and back in those days, they were expensive, and then, when you go to the movie, you go, oh, where's it going to be? And then you hear one little bit of it playing in the back when Arnold Schwarzenegger takes off on a motorcycle for like 5 seconds, go, 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 go. Is that that's our, oh shit, the scene's over, So what I think we found kind of funny with the music that our group Lucid did is exactly just, as almost a soundtrack to a book, which, like Drew said, has these sort of tentacles that go out into the film. And So between audio, visual, literary, we're trying to package the whole thing up. Maybe we can even get we got coffee. Maybe we can even get some food in there.
Yeah, you
We
get
get
taste.
everything for you.
You got all the
Coffee,
senses. You
music,
got
movies.
All 5 senses. Yeah.
yeah.
5 Senses Productions presents.
Oh, there you go. Well, I like it. 5 Senses Productions.
Like that.
Five
See,
Senses
this is how
Records.
stuff happens.
Yeah, perfect.
Call the lawyer. Go trademark that. Yeah.
Get him on the phone.
Yeah.
Now, both of you obviously can answer this. When you're making music, making a film, are there huge differences? Because to me, art is sort of art, and it's beautiful no matter what. And music, and I miss concerts so much. Gosh, but is there a big difference to both of you? Kind of how the creative process works?
Drew, I'll let you take that one.
Okay. I kind of go through like phases, like with the I kind of like sometimes I'm in like I get a bug up my ass for like music, and then I just start demoing like crazy, and I just kind of just pick and pull like different riffs and like structure together something like that, and just kind of pull them together and put them out to the side. That's kind of like how Lucid came together. It had like 30 instrumental demos, and then we sent it to Ben, the singer, and he just kind of picked out like 11 of them, and then he wrote to those, and then we all just kind of built them up into songs and everything. So just kind of just I guess it all comes to, for me, it all comes down to the story, just kind of like the through line, the narrative, just kind of like I like with the music, I kind of just try to provide like the skeleton of it. It's like the beginning, the middle, and the end. And just leave it up to everybody else to kind of build up upon it and like put their own stamp on it and everything, or rearrange where needed, and that where it would make even more sense, more of an impact. And with the film, same thing, like Dwellers, like it ended up probably like so much different than what was actually screenplayed, which was like a big learning curve for this next film too, because now I could kind of have a sense of what what would work on paper wouldn't work to be shot, and vice versa. And that's a lot of thing too. I probably found with a lot of indie flicks is that a lot of the directors are like, it has to be shot like this needs to be said, and a lot of times you could tell it just doesn't work on camera. And what I would try and do is just kind of let it organically let people react to an organic moment, and then just kind of maybe even work that into the narrative and work the narrative around that, especially in the editing and all that too. So sometimes it makes certain moments make even more sense in the end, and kind of even tightens it up a little bit too. So kind of give a lot of people free reign with all that. With as far as acting, everybody did a phenomenal job, like in the cast. I mean, and like I said, a lot of it changed so much from what was scripted, and it was so much fun just to kind of edit it all together and just kind of, because it ended up being, it could have been like 4 completely different movies. It could have been a straight up comedy. It could have been just a straight up like documentary. It could have, and ironically too, the interrogation footage was actually an afterthought. It's like the movie was pretty much already done, and then I was like, I think that we could probably even take it to another level. And so we got the rounded up Doug and Omar who play the interrogator and the interrogatee, and scripted out this. It was probably about 10, 12 pages, and we just kind of I just kind of sprinkled it in throughout, and it's kind of just added to the story a little bit too, and all that. And as far as books, same thing. Like with David and I with Rockstar Hitman, like he hit me with the idea, and he pretty much had the whole thing just kind of structured out and everything, and then he kind of left all the gore and the nasty bits to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and plus I know certainly with Drew's story, some of the bands and musical things he's been involved in, there's always difficulty when you're collaborating and working with other people. It can be beautiful, and it can also be challenging, and I think, speaking for Drew for a minute, he's in a season of his creative life right now where he's free from a lot of, having to do something somebody else's way, having to wait for maybe a bigger name guy to sort of, kind of shit or get off the pot and figure out what they're going to do, which, kind of hijacked Drew in some other situations. And which is frustrating. And I've been through the same thing. It's kind of like, it's nice to be free, and just go. So when Drew brought this movie over, I was like, wow, that's pretty clever for a guy who played guitar and banged tango. I would have never thought you would have done that, and that's why when I wrote Rockstar Hitman, when I was the idea came to me and I was starting to write it, I hit Drew and I said, dude, you want to jump in on this book with me. I think you're a perfect fit for this. So I always champion, the people that have, kind of come out of left field with something. And first of all, if it's great, that's the first thing. And then they just have this sort of genuine drive and enthusiasm. We've all been in those situations. We've all been in bands with some dominating personalities, and it's that's what you do. You move in that. You're like an army. You march in that direction. And then it's fun to have a season of your life when you can go do some things where you're the one calling the shots, and you decide, I want to do some things a little differently, or I just want my ideas to be heard finally. And, so I think that's what a lot of this stuff is, between the music, the book, obviously the film company, Dwellers, of course, and all this stuff is just sort of championing the underdog a little bit too, and it's funny. And I think our fans like it. They're like, whoa, never saw that coming. Like, what, you got a book? Well, you got a movie? You got coffee, and it's all these things. And I think Dwellers has, to kick the year off in 2021. I finished pretty strong last year with a lot of music projects that I was involved in. And Drew was just working quietly behind the scenes, finishing up Rockstar Hitman with me. He was putting the final touches on, on Dwellers, knowing we were going to roll it out in February, like we did at Mad Monster. So there were some deadlines that we had to meet. So this is kind of Drew's moment to come out from, the editing room and the mixing studio and show his face, and come out so I'm proud to, push him out front a little bit and say, hey, you take this. It's like, you've earned this. You've done a lot of work behind the scenes, and now it's your moment to step out and own this one.
No, but thank you so much, man. That really means a lot. And you're absolutely right too with the going through a lot of collaborators and everything throughout the years and all that. And it's like you kind of get accustomed to be like, okay, I guess we got to compromise with this and kind of do that, and it just doesn't feel right. And sometimes you just kind of weed through a lot of the people and just kind of find the right people to work with. And I fully believe that that David and I mesh together incredibly well, and all that. And like this next film, we're co-writing together, and it's been just a blast to do it. And really that's what it comes down to. As long as you're having fun and able to get something done at the same time, it's really a wonderful experience.
And to David, why did you decide to start the film company?
To put Drew's film out. You want to know the truth? I mean, it's, we just kind of put up Ellefson Films. All right, let's do this. It's a guy like, hey, I talked to this guy about coffee. Great, let's do Ellefson Coffee. Hey, I produced this little band and we need to put a record out. Okay, great. Let's Ellefson Music Production. We'll call it EMP Label Group. You know what I mean? And that's how all this stuff happens. It all just, my daughter said one time, she quoted, she said, necessity is the mother of invention. And I went, wow, isn't that the truth? So all of these things are just platforms to let creative projects come up to the starting line, fire the gun, and off they go, and that's what Ellefson Films was designed to put Drew's film out. And like I said, now we're talking about another one. Drew's actually got another film that he's kind of been sitting on. He sent me the screenplay last year for it. When we were at Mad Monster, some people were coming to me saying, hey, you got a film company? Wow, I got something that I might want to call you on. And I realized, like, wow, what a cool thing to have, to have this, again, digital and physical distribution, and have these channels. And I realized, like, how hard that is to get. And I have it. It just kind of landed in my lap by way of the record label. And to have these channels that you can, pipeline, creative endeavors through it is beautiful. And look, if that's my role on this, so that, creative guys like Drew and whoever else it may be, to create stuff, then, hey, I'm more the merrier. I'm happy to provide it. It's a real privilege to have that. I'd never thought in a million years I'd have, a coffee company and a film company and a book company. But it's, why not? I mean, who else is going to do it? That's the thing. I think, because that's the thing. We go to the doors of Warner Brothers and Simon and Schuster and the big boys, and I've had success there, and I've been blessed to be able to, to have a career over there with those things. But that world is changing quickly, and we found with the internet, to be able to be able to pivot and be nimble and move quickly. You can get a lot done if you're willing to be flexible and you're just willing to, roll your sleeves up and kind of start it all from scratch. It's you don't have to always go out with your, hat in hand, knocking on the big towers of the business to get in the game. This is, I mean, everything about Dwellers, found footage, Ellefson Films, everything about it is about as street level, organic, spun out from the basement and the garage as you can get. The fact that it's getting success is, I think just goes to show it's like, hey, you don't need these big budgets and you don't need all this fancy stuff to get your ideas out to the people. I think that's probably maybe the bigger arc of the message that seems to be developing here. And super thrilled.
And the thing with that too is, like, instead of hoping and begging to be invited to the party, we just started our own party, you know, and it's just kind of, like you said, knocking on the big tower doors and trying to get the talks going to, like, maybe a big production coming to put the movie on and all that. David's, just kind of steamroll the whole thing to just, we could just do everything in house and everything as well. And also going back to the what your daughter said about necessity is the mother of invention. That's actually how Dwellers got done, because the Mad Monster Party got booked, and it
Yeah.
almost became the scene in Dwellers where David was like, "All right, Drew, movie done? What's
Yeah, as a producer, I'm like, hey, we got a deadline. How's it coming? How, I just kept checking in, going, are we good? Are we good? And, same with the Rockstar Hitman book. We wanted to put it out. I had a cover record that I put out with my solo band last year. And that was just sort of a gap that was filled because touring was unavailable. So I called all my friends. We got involved in that. And I said, look, I want to get the book out by the end of the year. Good stocking stuffer. So we Drew and I, timelined that for December, and then we timelined the movie for February. And now these conventions are happening, and so yeah, I think it's just say yes, just do it, get involved, go for it, and and it's, I think if you just kind of keep moving it forward, it always finds a way.
I do want to ask about the gnarly noises, Drew. I know you kind of mentioned that you were making the noises in the tunnel. How did that kind of all happen?
Oh wow, yeah. Initially I was gonna hire somebody else to do it, like and that kind of didn't pan out the way I expected it to. So it was in my garage, and I had my Zoom mic, which I used to record the audio in the film, and I was like, I could probably just do the creature sounds on my own, And so I just, there's maybe like 10, 15 minutes of me making some of the most wacky noises in the world. And fortunately, my wife wasn't home at that time. She would have probably thought I was having a stroke or something. But I was just making all this crazy, this noises and all that too. And then when I started mixing it in as far as sound, it kind of worked great, especially when it was bedded with like somebody screaming or something like that, or just you kind of hear it echo in the background and everything. And so it was actually a lot of fun. I lost my voice for a couple of days after that too, but it was definitely an interesting process to create the creature noises for the creatures and dwellers.
What do the two of you want to say to everyone that has already watched Dwellers, that will be watching Dwellers? What do you kind of want them to know from your perspective?
We just me personally, I was just happy to get to finish it, and the fact that people are getting enjoyment out of it just really does mean the world, and the fact that people are taking to it and actually really and enjoying it, it's very, it's a beautiful thing, and it really does mean a lot, and I just yeah, just really at the end of the day, just hope you get a kick out of it. There's some comedy in there. Hopefully, there's something in there that someone to kind of chuckle at here and there at the very least. And but yeah, I'm just that's really fortunate and thankful that people have been enjoying it.
I would say to anybody that's hopefully they get inspired by it. Grab your camera, go in a tunnel, make a movie,
Yeah,
put it up
yeah.
on the internet. Yeah, it
It's
can be done, you know? So I think that's the, you know, the bigger part of, I think, the creative arts right now is, you know, the internet has brought it all within our means. And look, it still has to be good. Hopefully it's great, because greatness will always stand the test of time. And, but you know, it's funny when you just have a little idea like Drew had, you know, rather than going, oh, aw, shucks, it'll never work, to just move it forward, just go for it, you know, and just make it happen. And I think that to me is kind of a pretty cool takeaway, that, you know, Drew and some friends and a camera, you know, is winning awards now for just being bold enough to just go do it, you know. And we all this stuff, we kind of make it up as we go. There's no playbook for any of this stuff. We just make it up as we go. So get out and do it. New year, go for it.
Oh yeah, and it's something that Kevin Smith said too a long time ago. It was stuck with me, and he said, pretty much the second you pick up a camera and start shooting, you're a filmmaker, you know. And that's everything that happens after that is just up to you and the fates, pretty much. And just yeah, just it's as simple as just going for it.
The Clerks line was really great. And I
Oh
actually
yeah,
I like that there was comedy in here, because a lot of times you're watching these, you know, whether it be about aliens or, you know, there's a couple Bigfoot ones out there, you know, there's various sort of found footage. There's a cemetery one that off topic, but um I really like that there was comedy in it, and it kind of got a little bit light, because when you're watching these movies, they can be so intense and you're just on the edge of your seat, and then you get that moment to laugh. So it kind of, that was great.
thank you so much. Yeah, it's yeah, I could probably never do it straight. You know, just like this, just super serious. You know, and it just kind of you just even find comedy in that if it's getting a little bit too straight. You know, but I'm glad the comedy came off well. And there's a lot of deleted scenes with even more comedy for sure too. But especially in the tunnel, I get there's a lot of deleted scenes down there. But I'm glad the comedy came off well. And then that's awesome, and it kind of lets you guard down a little bit too. And the whole like David mentioned, like the self-deprecating the sense of humor angle kind of gets your guard down a little bit too. So it's like the Drew character I play is just kind of he's not, you know, pretentious like the hero type and all that and everything. I'm just a schlub from Chicago, kind of took the money and ran, you know. My character, that is.
Yeah.
Do you think that you'll turn the books into movies at any chance, or?
People have asked about that right away when they got the book, because it's a fictional autobiography, and we kind of picked that up actually from the readers who had been reading it. We pushed it out as essentially, you know, first fictional title for both of us. And then we started seeing the feedback, and people were like, "Oh my God, this is a fictional autobiography. This is so cool. I had no idea what it was." And so it's interesting how, you know, kind of like taking Dwellers to the HorrorCon. It's like, I don't know, let's run it up the flagpole and see what people say about it. And, you know, there's a saying, there's an old adage from the music business. You have your whole life to write your first record and about 9 months to write your second one. You know, so your first album, if it sucks, no one cares. It just goes away. If it's a hit, all right, well, now you've got some pressure to kind of figure out what to do with the next one, right? Because the die has been cast, if you will. And so it's funny with Rockstar Hitman, because Drew wrote a memoir. I've written a couple memoirs. So we both have experience in this. And I think what was fun about the book was to, again, pull in what you see in Dwellers, a fictional aspect that can get bloody, it can get gory, it can be kind of silly at times. And even Rockstar Hitman has a self-deprecating humor to it. And that's why I think the two of them marry very well together, between Dwellers and the Rockstar Hitman book. And it's not just a book, it's a series. It's called The Sledge Chronicles. So there's going to be a continuation of the series of that book, which we started with that in mind. As soon as we got into it, but, you know, let's not cap this on one book. Let's make this a series that we can keep, you know, rolling as he tours around the world, as he keeps going. This narrative, we can keep it going with a whole assortment of bad guys. And, you know, so that was fun. And, you know, again, kind of like Dwellers, where Drew, sort of put the POV on him, you know, we did the same with Sledge Chronicles. We had our main character Sledge. He's the one essentially telling the story, so it becomes this autobiographical thing. So that's, you know, it's close to home to us. So because we know it, and that makes it fun, because there is sort of an autobiographical component, I think, in the films and in the books. I always like watching Adam Sandler movies. You know, there you can see the genuineness of him in his, you know, we knew him from Saturday Night Live, so we kind of know he's got this narrative of who he really is as a person. And then of course he's a great actor, but you know, and he brings all of his friends along, you know, and those same friends keep appearing in all of his movies. And it's there's a comfortability about that I think Drew and I are adapting with being able to keep, you know, using some of the similar characters and pulling them into the next ventures.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Ron. Yeah, absolutely.
Thought you were frozen there for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, the next film, definitely you're going to see a lot of the same actors show up for sure, playing different characters and everything. We kind of with the, you know, like David was saying, with Dwellers, are kind of and building this pool of talent, if you will, and just kind of keep on reusing everybody. Like in the Adam Sandler movies, you always see like Steve Buscemi show up and Kevin Nealon and everybody. So it's kind of, you see them and it's kind of like, oh, it's them again. Cool. Like, what are they going to do for this one? You know, it's like a fun, comfortable thing. And yeah, and just all around excited where things are going to go, especially, you know, Sledge, the second Sledge Rockstar Hitman book is almost finished. And as David mentioned, we're probably going to get that out around fall. And along with the, you know, the release of Dwellers and all that. And and it was cool too, because we kind of had the whole Sledge Rockstar Hitman story arc kind of planned out over quite a few books, I believe too, and it's just you know, really interesting how we could, you know, branch off from different stories and how far we could take it, and it's like the possibilities are really endless with it as well. So you know, just as fun to write them as they are to go back and read through them again, you know, and it's been a really fun process.
Well, it was an honor to talk to both of you, and I absolutely love Dwellers. I think Drew, you did an amazing job. David, thank you so much. It was such an honor to talk to both of you, and I love that you have music and films combined, and I can't wait for more projects. And any last words or words of wisdom for all of us? And thank you, by the way, also for, you know, giving us Dwellers and music and all this creative stuff during the pandemic, especially like for people that, you know, love concerts and like we miss the horror conventions and stuff. So thank you both.
No,
You're
thank you.
welcome. We will soon.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much, Janelle. And it really, and it's been such a pleasure to talk to you, and it really means a lot that you enjoyed the film and everything. You know, it's a beautiful thing, and really had a fun time chatting with you. And thank you so much.
So October 12th will be the street date for the film. And do you have a release? Is that the release date for the Blu-ray also? Okay. Very
Yeah, that'll be the whole thing. Yep.
Very cool. I thank you both so much. It was an honor to talk to both of you. And any last words of wisdom?
Let's go have coffee.
Yeah, go with the coffee. I got a Diet Coke, but I just had a cup of coffee earlier.
Let's go have coffee.
I only have water right now.
Yeah.
So
Ellefson coffee.
sounds good. Where can everyone get the coffee?
Thank you, Janelle.
David.
Oh, where can everyone get
Ellefsoncoffeeco.com.
Mhm.
Yeah, ellefsoncoffeeco.com is where you can order coffee. And ellefsonstore.com is where we have a bunch of stuff up there. We've got Rockstar Hitman books. We'll have the film up there. I mean, the film will be everywhere. It'll be digital and everything. So, and when we appear at the conventions, you know, after October onward, we'll have Blu-rays there. So we'll have everything available with this.
And the coffee is delicious.
We'll keep you all posted.
Very cool.
The coffee is delicious.
And on Facebook, there's actually a Dwellers Facebook page. So you can follow things there. Instagram, there's Ellefson Film Co. Ellefson Book Company. So We're around. Just look us up. We're everywhere.
Thank you both so much. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Be safe.
No.
You as
Thank
well.
you. It was an honor to talk to both of you.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you, Janelle.
Thank you.